Welcome back to the FITBODY podcast. This week, I want to talk about a subject that many women struggle with, emotional eating. We don't always eat simply to satisfy hunger. We turn to food for comfort, for stress relief, and for reward. Unfortunately, emotional eating doesn't fix emotional struggles that we might be having. It usually makes you feel worse. Afterwards, not only does the original emotional issue remain, but then you feel guilty for overeating. One of the goals I have for my online training clients is to help them to learn to eat more intuitively and to recognize physical hunger and fullness cues. These are skills that you actually need to build. There really are plenty of good reasons to eat outside of physical hunger, though. Plus, sometimes we just miss the mark. We end up eating more or less than what our body actually needs. That said, part of getting back in touch with our hunger and our fullness cues is understanding the difference between emotional eating and physical hunger. So that emotional hunger versus physical hunger. Sometimes this can be really challenging, and there's a lot of overlap between the two. It's actually possible that we're experiencing intense emotions at the same time that we are actually physically hungry. So you have to really kind of dive deeper into understanding what's the reasons and the feelings behind your hunger. So let's step back. What is physical hunger? Physical hunger, sometimes it's called biological hunger. This occurs when your brain is telling your body there is literally a physical need for food and energy. This motivational state can show up in the body through a range of physical and emotional responses geared at getting you to stop what you're doing and eat. The only way to address physical hunger is to actually eat. While there are many diet tricks floating around that help suppress physical hunger, there's really just no way around it. Our bodies need fuel. Physical hunger is something that will always be there. It's part of the human existence. It's part of the human experience. Of course, we have to eat to live, right? So how do we experience physical hunger? The most common is through physical sensation, right? Most people recognize hunger either through like an emptiness in their stomach, a growling, a rumbling, even kind of a gnawing, painful, nauseous feeling when you're severely hungry. Physical hunger can also be expressed, though, in many other ways outside of actual like physical sensations in the stomach. Whether you're feeling lightheaded, whether you're tired, fatigued, maybe having difficulty concentrating, maybe even your mood is changing and you're feeling more anxiety or even anger. I have certainly found myself at times when it's been too long since I've had something to eat, getting what many people call hangry. So these are just some of the ways that your body experiences physical hunger. What I want to really turn to today is how do we know what the difference is between that physical hunger that we need to honor and emotional hunger? So what really is emotional hunger? Emotional hunger is a desire for food that results from an emotion. Well, there you go, right? It's often associated with things like stress, sadness, anger, the desire to numb or soothe yourself, maybe distract you from the feelings that you're having. Sometimes when we are emotionally eating, it's because we're bored. We're just looking for something to fill the time. Now, it doesn't have to be a negative emotion. A lot of times, happiness, joy, excitement, coming together with people that you love, celebrating holidays, those things will also cause you to emotionally eat. So let's break this down, because what I want you to be able to do is really identify, am I actually physically hungry, or am I eating to self-medicate, to soothe an emotion, to fill a void? Okay, so you want to step back. Let's understand first. Let me tell you about the characteristics of physical hunger. So physical hunger is going to give some kind of sensation. So your stomach is going to feel empty or growling. That physical sensation comes on slowly. This is not something that you go from being totally full to starving within a few minutes. If it's truly physical hunger, that will come on more slowly. If you're physically hungry, the desire for your food is going to be less specific. So It's not going to be that you're craving something, you have to have that cookie or you have to have a slice of pizza. Most foods will do and will help satisfy you when you're actually physically hungry. Physical hunger also tends to come in predictable patterns. So between, say, 3 and 4 hours after your last meal, you'll begin to feel physically hungry again. And that's your body's way of saying, hey, time to eat. But what about emotional hunger? So emotional hunger is different. So sensations of hunger that are associated with the onset of really strong, intense emotions. So if you're feeling super stressed, if you're upset, if you're sad, even if you're like overjoyed, if you feel that emotion and hunger comes along strongly with it, that probably is emotional hunger versus physical hunger. You might experience something in your stomach as well, but generally less so than if you actually have physical hunger. The real telltale, though, is that if the hunger comes on rapidly and it's specifically tied to a specific food, specifically like multiple times there. Anyway, so if you have a craving that just won't go away for a particular food, that is probably an emotional hunger. Finally, what you'll find is that emotional hunger is independent of the last time you ate. So it's not necessarily that you've had a meal, you've waited a few hours, and now you're hungry again. Bouts of emotional hunger can come on out of nowhere, and it doesn't necessarily matter when you've had food last. Unfortunately, emotional eating and emotional hunger can be what's keeping you from your fitness goals. Learning to recognize the emotional eating triggers is the first step to break free from food cravings and compulsive overeating. If we can change your habits, you can stop self-sabotaging and get closer and closer to your goals. Okay, so what can we do about this? The next time you're trying to differentiate between emotional and physical eating, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. First, take a deep breath. Is it actually time to eat? Has it been several hours since your last meal and your body's actually hungry? If that's the case, awesome. You're probably physically hungry. It's probably time to go ahead and eat. Did this hunger come on suddenly? Or is this something that has come on gradually? If your hunger came on suddenly, that could be emotional hunger. If it's been building for a while, it's probably physical hunger. Are you craving a specific food? If there's only one food that's sitting in front of you that smells amazing, or that you're walking by the bakery and that food is what you're craving, then you're probably experiencing emotional hunger. If you're just hungry and many different things sound good, like good options, then you're probably physically hungry. Finally, I want you to evaluate what kind of emotions you're actually having in the moment. Are you feeling guilty? Are you feeling powerless? Are you feeling anxious or overwhelmed or stressed? If that's the case, that's probably that emotional hunger. Okay, so the real question here, what do we do about physical and emotional hunger? The beautiful part of all of this is that food is necessary for our bodies, and it's good for us, and we should enjoy our food. Goodness knows that I do. But if you are continually experiencing this emotional hunger, I want you to step back and really identify the reasons why. And let's fill that with an alternative. So let me give you some alternatives to emotional eating. So if you identify that you are feeling lonely or depressed, and that's why you are going for ice cream, or you are grabbing that extra glass of wine or the extra cookie, call someone, reach out to a friend, play with your dog, play with your cat, read a book that you enjoy. Do something that's going to bring you joy, and preferably something that's going to connect you to another person. If you're feeling anxious, expend some of that nervous energy. Turn on the music and start dancing. Go on a walk. Better yet, hit the gym and exercise. Even squeezing a stress ball. Any kind of movement that's going to take your mind off of the hunger and really help you work through the anxiety that you're having will help. If you feel like you're exhausted, maybe you're really tired and you're going to the pantry to help fill that, treat yourself first with a cup of hot tea. Maybe take a bath, wrap yourself in a warm blanket, do things that are going to be calming, meditate, do yoga, pray, do things that are going to bring you back and bring some energy back to you that don't involve food first. If you're bored, there are plenty of better ways to fill your time than just emotionally eating. Read a good book, watch a comedy show, get outdoors, turn to an activity that you really enjoy. Shooting hoops, scrapbooking, play the guitar, dance, whatever you like. Start finding those activities that can help fill your time. Volunteer, go to your church. Those are things that can help you connect on a deeper level and avoid that emotional eating. So over the next few weeks, I really want to encourage you to think about your hunger. Evaluate if it's truly physical hunger, which we all have and is a very good thing, or if it's the kind of physical hunger that could be causing you to overeat. One thing that I share with all of my online training clients is that I really don't ever want you to be hungry. That's the number one way to absolutely ruin a nutrition plan, is to be hungry all the time. So there's always something that you can eat. And I encourage everyone to have as many vegetables as they can possibly fit in their lives. So when I'm working with a woman, vegetables are completely unlimited. As long as you're not adding extra oil and butters, you just can't eat too many vegetables. So if you really are physically hungry, vegetables and some lean protein will be enough to help you feel better. All right. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the FitBODY podcast. Thank you for joining me on the FitBODY podcast. Looking forward to sharing more health and fitness information with you soon. Want more information about my online personal training for women or the world's best supplements in protein powder? Check out fitbody.com for more info.